Everybody, Rose Matter here, and welcome to my long-awaited Umineko Let's Play. We are fresh off the heels of Higurashi, and we are jumping right into the next of the Higurashi creators' works, and apparently this is even better than Higurashi, which, I mean, you guys know how much I love Higurashi, so we'll see about that. We'll see how much I like this in comparison. This is more apparently of like a murder mystery in like an old-timey mansion kind of thing. That's about all I know about it, and there apparently are some references or connections with Higurashi, so we'll have to see what that's all about. And I just want to say really quick, I am running this right now on 07th mod, because despite trying for the past week to get Umineko Project working, which seems to be the preferred mod for a lot of people, I've been having a hell of a time getting it to work. I've been running into errors, and I've been on message boards, I've been on forums, I've tried to find videos about how to download it properly, and I can't figure it out. So if you guys have any tips or tricks or suggestions, please let me know in the comments, and if I do happen to get it working for next week, I will just play up until the point that I do with this episode and try and run the rest of my Let's Play through Umineko Project, but we'll have to wait and see for that. So I apologize. Hopefully you guys are okay with me doing the 07th mod for now. But yeah, I've been talking long enough. Let's get into this new story, this new very long story of this new series, and let's see what I have waiting in store for me. Let's go. Right, Episode 1, Legend of the Golden Witch. Welcome to Rokkenjima. Rokkenjima. The Golden Witch extends her heartfelt greetings. Please take it easy and relax for the time being. There's no need to think overly hard about any of this. Quietly accept all that is about to happen. That is all that's being asked of you. The difficulty level is standard. We might as well at least start by taking the easy road. Okay, tips mode. In the middle of the game, at any time, a right click with the mouse will open up tips mode. Here, besides the save and load functions, you can view character profiles and more. Additional information will be added as you progress through the story. It's probably a good idea to take a peek here every once in a while, because this is a murder mystery, and it seems like there's a lot of characters to keep track of. It sort of seems like Clue a little bit. It's like where are the characters? What are they up to? What are their relationships with each other? I love murder mysteries. I love this type of mystery. You guys know I made so many theories during Higurashi, so I assume it's probably going to be the same with this. People have recommended I take notes just to kind of like keep track of things, especially because I only play once a week, so that might not be a bad idea.
The
old physician let out a sigh as he removed the stethoscope. Also, I hope that I've got the volume, the music volume and everything is high enough. I can hear it quite loudly in my ears, so hopefully it sounds okay for you guys. The first episode is all about me trying to figure out the levels of volume and things like that. Two elderly men can be seen in the dimly lit study, which was filled with dust and a sickly sweet stench. In the corner of this room, which was much larger than what most people would call a study, was an expensive-looking bed, a man undergoing a medical examination, and the physician conducting it. There was also what appeared to be a servant watching over the whole scene.
酒は我が友だ。お前に負けぬ友人であり、そしてお前よりも付き合いが長い。
As the man baring his chest for the stethoscope but rearranged his clothes, he spoke unapologetically.
Kinzo さん、あんたの体が一見調子がいいのは薬が効いてるからだ。だが、そんな強い酒を飲み続けては薬の意味もなくなってしまう。悪いことは言わん。酒は控えなさい。忠告の気持ちだけはありがたくいただいておく。我が友よ、元気、もう一杯頼む。心持ち薄めでな。南條の顔も立ててやれ。 よろしいのですか。
After eyeing both the master who demanded the alcohol and the family doctor who forbade it, Genji, the old butler, silently gave a slight nod and carried out his master's orders faithfully. The family doctor, Nancho, let out a deep sigh once again as he watched the butler busy himself alongside the liquor cabinet. There was a smell filling up the room. This sweet, poisonous aroma felt as though it melted the heart, if not the soul itself. It was the smell of that venomous green drink that the man couldn't bear to part with.
南條、お前は私の長きにわたる親友だ。今日まで私を長らえさせてくれたことを深く感謝する。
私は何も。医者としての忠告など、金蔵さんは全く聞いてくれませんからな。お前とて差し間違えた手を待てと言っても聞かぬではないか。ならば愛子というものだろう。親方様、すまぬ。薬は切れても死にはせんが、こいつが切れては死んでしまうでな。
Disregarding Nancho, who has his face set in resigned expression, Kinzo took the glass that Kenji was holding out to him. Very few people would associate that venomous color with an alcoholic beverage.
南條、正直に話せ。私の命はあとどの程度持つ？
Is this the guy that's gonna die? It seems like it's leading up to that.
さて、どのくらいと申し上げれば、そのお酒を控えてくれますやら。
Nancho once again let out a sigh of resignation. Then he finally spoke to Kinzo as the latter swirled his glass.
長くはありませんな。
どの程度に長くないというのだ。
このチェスで例えましょう。金蔵さんの爪もなかなかですが、私のキングを追い詰めるには至りますまい。
Nanjo's gaze was directed at a side table with a massive chess set placed on top of it. Is chess gonna come up a lot in this? Is this gonna be? It's like Higurashi with a game board. This is a chess board. Judging by the positioning of the pieces, the game seemed to be entering its final stage. Black's rook and bishop are cutting deeply into enemy lines. This is bad, and it's also like Mahjong with Higurashi. I know nothing about Mahjong, and I know not much more about chess. Alright, Black's rook and bishop were cutting deeply into enemy lines. White's king had already been castled and cornered, so that even an amateur could see the match would reach its conclusion before too long. Every time Nanjo came to give a medical examination, both of them would make a few moves. Nanjo was hinting that Kinzo would most likely fall into his eternal sleep before this game could be concluded. These were less the words of a physician than they were the words of an old friend.
普通の患者になら遺言を書くよう勧める頃です。
遺言とは何だ南條。私の屍をどのように食い散らかせとハゲタカどもに指南する書き置きなのか。
いや、違いますぞ。遺言は意思を残すことだ。遺産分配のことだけを書くものじゃない。
ほう、遺産分配以外に書くこととは何なのか。
心残りややり残し、受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいこと、何でもいいんです。
受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいことだと？バカバカしい。この後ろ宮金蔵、後に残したいことも伝えたいこともただの一つもないわ。裸一貫で生まれた。そして裸一貫で死ぬ。バカ息子どもに残したいものなど何一つないわ。もしも訪れる最後が今日だとしても今だとしても、私は何も恐れることなくその死の運命を受け入れようではないか。
Alright, so this is gonna be a matter of a bunch of children coming for their inheritance, and he doesn't write a will, and maybe one of them murdered him, and we're trying to figure out who it was?
全てを築き上げた富も名誉も全てだ。それらは私と共に築き上げられ、私と共に失われよう。後に残してやるものなど何もないわ。何もない。あとは野となれ山となれ。墓も棺も何も望まぬわ。それが魔女と私の契約だ。私が死ぬ時に全てを失う。初めからその約束だからこそ何も残らぬのだ。何も残せぬのだ。
Okay, so there's a witch. There's a whole thing about a golden witch. After reaching a furious crescendo, Kinzo suddenly slumped over. His expression was limp and feeble, as though an evil spirit has possessed him and then left.
だが未練がある。残すものは何一つないが、残したまま行けぬものが一つ。
それを書き記せばいい。もちろん生きているうちにこなせればそれでいい。
はあ、ベアトリーチェ、なぜに私をこれほどまでに拒むのか。今こそお前に与えられた全てを返そう。全てを失おう。だから最後にもう一度だけお前の美少を見せてくれ。ベアトリーチェ、頼む交渉だ。聞こえているはずだ。お前はそういう女だ。頼む、姿を見せてくれ。いるんだろう。聞こえていながら姿を消し、今もこの部屋のどこかで私を嘲笑っているのだろう。私の前にもう一度現れてくれ。そして微笑んでくれ。なじってくれてもいい。望むならお前の手で私の命を奪ってくれてもいい。このまま一人で死にたくない。お前の微笑みを再び一目見るまでは絶対に死ねないのだ。ああ、ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ、この命はくれてやる。お前にくれてやる。五章だ、ベアトリーチェ。
Okay. All right, it's the first day, October 4th, 1986. I'm surprised. I was like, based on the look of it, I thought this was going to take place in like the 1800s or something.
時代ってやつは進歩してんな。 たったの20分で着いちまったんだから驚いちまうぜ。
Or are we going back in time? Because the way they were dressed and everything, it looked like Victorian times almost. I'm still shook at them. Like, what? I didn't think it was going to be taking place around the same time Higurashi is. I couldn't help but scratch my head and marvel at how far things have come in recent times. Or years. Oh my gosh. We used to go by boat. Back then, we were all forced to endure nearly half a day of swaying back and forth over the sea before we reached Nijima. Things have gotten so much more convenient these days. Still, I've never been on a plane this small. I've flown in a huge jumbo jet before, but this will be my first experience in such a tiny one. It's gonna shake, isn't it? They say smaller boats shake more than big ones, so I guess the same rule probably applies to planes. Oh, just spare me.
大丈夫だよ、バトラ君。船に比べたら全然揺れは少ないよ。
おわジョージの兄貴かよ。急に勘弁してくれよ。今ので寿命が3年縮んじまったぜ。
Okay, that's Akasaka's voice actor, isn't it? I had a lot of people comment about how there was someone who is voiced by the same guy, and if I'm gonna simp, and I was kind of like, of what I could see, I'm like, he's definitely the cutest one. So, let's hope so. Let's hope he's not a total douche.
つうか、揺れってなんすか？別に俺は飛行機も揺れんのかな、まさか落ちたりしねえかななんて夢にも思っちゃいないぜ。
Now I'm not so sure. His voice sounds a little bit higher. Maybe I'm mistaken.
ごめんごめん。もう小さい頃とは違うよね。あれから6年も経ってるんだし、もうバトラ君も子供じゃないか。
じゃあ兄貴はタバコも酒も OK ってかよ。タバコは興味ねえけど酒は飲んでみたいよな。兄貴なんかおじさんの遺伝子あんなら相当飲めちゃいそうだけど。
Wait, how old is he? How old are these people? Oh no, they're underage. Never mind. Forget.
僕の場合は好きで飲むというよりは仕事で飲む方が多いからね。日本のビジネスは酒抜きでは難しいよ。
そうっすよね。だから俺も今晩の夕食あたりに初挑戦してみようかなって。
ダメだよ。バトラ君はまだ
Oh,
未
he
成年
is
じ
a
ゃない
minor.
か。
I take back everything I said.
未成年の飲酒は発育に悪影響を及ぼす可能性がって
こんだけタッパがありゃ俺の発育は十分っすから。
I don't think that's what he was talking about, my dude.
むしろちょいと身長縮めた方が服が探しやすいくらい。
I puffed my chest out proudly. Until I hit my growth spurt, my height was below average in my class. But then I grew and grew, and before I knew it, I'd passed 180 centimeters, 5'11". I guess I have all that muscle training and those shady mail-order performance-enhancing drugs to thank for that. Before then, I never dreamed I'd shoot 10 centimeters above George Aniki, who'd reached his peak height early on. Damn, I'll bet my relatives all say, look at how big you've grown, Battler-chan? What a strange name, or something. It's all so embarrassing. I wish they'd just give me a break. Anyway, my name, Battler. Well, it's pretty damn weird how I literally just said that, don't you think? I'm probably saying it wrong, too. I've got to wonder what my parents were thinking when they named me that. I've never met anyone who could read it right the first time. Okay, good, it's not just me. I usually get called Sento-kun. Alright, I'll call you that. That's easier. Sorry, but that's not even close. My name is written that. Can you read it? The first part is my family name, Ushiromiya. That's a fairly plausible Japanese pronunciation so far. The problem is my given name. That is made of the characters for fight and person, and it's pronounced Battler. Put it all together, and you've got oh my gosh. Oh, always with these visual novels, the first couple of episodes, and past the first couple of episodes sometimes is my issues with names. Ushiromiya Battler. Pretty crazy, right? It's crazy enough my parents decided to call me that, but it's even more crazy some government worker let them make it official. Both groups are at the top of my must-kill list. Anyway, this is one of my cousins. His name is that, pronounced Ushiromiya George. George is a lot easier. He's 5 years older than me, so he must be turning 23 this year. Since the Ushiromiya cousins consist of 2 boys and 2 girls, I end up playing with George all the time. And because I've always thought of him as a big brother, I still call him Aniki today.
しかしバトラ君は大きくなったな。男子3日を渡れば刮目して待つべしとはよう言うたもんや。
やっぱり血かしらね。ルドルフも高校くらいまでは身長そんなになかったのよ。成長期が遅い方が最終的には伸びるのかもね。
んなことないっすよ。男は中身も伴わなくっちゃ。
I just took a lot of drugs.
そうや。バトラ君は分かっとる。
Okay, so it's battler. Battler? I guess like battler. Like fighter.
男は中身で勝負なんや。常に己の鍛錬を忘れたらあかん。
I know you guys are gonna help me with that pronunciation.
そして虎視眈々とチャンスを待ってドカンと開花させるんや。わしもまさか今日会社社長なんて一国一城の主になれるとは思わんかった。そうや、あの無一文の焼け野原がわしの原点なんや。
This stout, plump old guy is George Niki's dad, Uncle Hideyoshi. He's the husband of Dad's older sister. In other words, we're not blood related. He's nice to children, sociable all the time, and even quick to give out some spending money to us kids. Simply put, he's an awesome uncle. He speaks in an odd and very noticeable Kansai dialect, but he's actually a naturally born Kanto man. Apparently, impressions are everything in the business world. So speaking in a different style than other people is an act that makes him stick out more. However, I hear he gets embarrassed when talking within earshot of a real Kansai person, so he switches back to standard Japanese. I don't really get it, but he's definitely an interesting person.
すぐ自分の自慢話に入っちゃうのがたまに傷なのよね。およしなさいな。バトラ君、耳にタコができちゃってるんだから。ねえ。
そんなことねえっすよ。でもいいじゃないっすか。語れる武勇伝があるってのは男としてかっこいいことだと思いますよ。
Okay, now that I'm hearing it more, I'm pretty sure that is Akasaka's voice actor.
俺なんか語るような話は何もないっすからね。
あら、そう？バトラ君なんかそのルックスでいっぱい女の子を泣かせてそうだからさぞかし武勇伝が多そうだと思ったんだけど。
And she reminds me of Takano. I can't believe you have nothing at all to brag about.
うわあ、情報弾じゃないっすよ。そんな妙な武勇伝あるわけないじゃない。むしろ紹介してほしいくらいっす。
あら、あるんでしょ武勇伝。おばさんにも後で教えてね。ジョージったらそういう浮ついた話が全然ないんだから。
This is George Niki's mother, Aunt Eve. No, it's Ava. Ava. I was told about that, about certain pronunciations, and then immediately I went to Eva, but it's more of it's like Ava. She's my dad's older sister. She and Uncle Hideyoshi are a pair of jokers, and they've always teased me, back as far as I can remember. This sometimes made them a bit hard to get along with when I was small. Well, I guess the events of the last 30 seconds prove they can still be hard to get along with. Even so, George and Niki's family is interesting and fun, and they seem to get along just fine. Sheesh, that's pretty much the total opposite of my family.
バトラ君、ルドルフさんを見なかった？
あ、さっきお手洗いに行くのを見ましたけど、まだ出てこないんすか？こりゃぽっくりいっちまったかな。ナムナムナムナム。
自分のお父さんにそんな言い方はないでしょ。まあ、あの人のお手洗いが長いのは今に始まったことじゃないしね。
ああ、あんにゃろは昔っからそうです。雑誌持ってトイレに入るのやめてほしいんすよね。何の雑誌持ち込んで何をしてんだか。
あら、そんな心配は全然不要よ。
sorry.
私と一緒にいる以上、 そんなこと一人でさせやしないもの。
なんの話か。後でじっくり聞きたいっすね。親父め、玉まで握られてグーの音も出ないわけだ。
握っとかないとどういうことになるかよーくわかってるでしょ。
いやいや、まったく。あのクソ親父の手綱は、キリエさんにしか無理っすよ。実の息子の俺も、喜んで譲っちゃいますわ。
ええ、任せてちょうだい。そういうの得意なのよ。
This woman is my father's wife. Her name is Ushiromiya Kiri. Hopefully I'm saying that. Kairi. I don't think I actually heard him say her name, so I'm going based on my assumption there. As you can probably tell from our conversation, she's not my real mother. She's basically my stepmother. My real mom died 6 years ago, and Kiri-san is the woman Dad married afterwards. It's understandable for someone my age. I could never bring myself to call his new wife Mom, and I doubt she feels like using the word son on this massive kid who's no relation to her at all. We aren't little kids. We know there's nothing to be gained by fighting, so we decided we wouldn't force ourselves to pretend we were family. I've decided to act a bit more frank with her, acting as though she's a friendly neighbor instead. It's much easier if we just keep a little distance instead of forcing ourselves to act all close and making each other uncomfortable. Kiri-san has always been very open about this, and thanks to that, we've been able to get along pretty well. Then, just when we were bad-mouthing Dad about being in the bathroom, the man himself came back, wiping his hands with a handkerchief.
バトラー？
なんだよ、親父。耳つねんな、耳。
また母さんと俺の悪口を言ってたろう。なんでお前には父親に対する尊敬の念ってやつがわかねえんだ？
いででででででいでででででああ、いでえよ、クソ親父。俺の耳伸ばしたって空は飛べねえぞ、おい。
ほれほれ。立て。立て。横。横。丸書いて
Left,
逆に回して。倍率
Left
どんどん。
right, A, B.
さらに2倍。お父様。
Oh.
失礼なこと言ってごめんなさいって言ってみろ。
冗談じゃねえぜ。そういうのは会員制のお店でやりやがるってんだ。だから話せって。
This old bastard is my dad. I think I'm pretty tall myself, but Dad's just about as tall as I am. It's no surprise Aunt Ava started talking about Dad's blood when she saw my height. By the way, my height isn't the only thing I got from him. It seems having weird names runs in the family. Dad's full name is written... That. You can't read it, can you? Come on, it's just... Anyway, this guy's name is pronounced Rudolph. Ha, he must hate grandfather for giving him that name. Still, that's no reason to pass that weird naming tradition on to me. As the old bastard twisted my ear all over the place, Aunt Ava snuck up behind him and grabbed his ear.
こらこらルドルフ、息子に乱暴してるんじゃないわよ。
言ってよ姉貴。
The scene perfectly illustrates the relationship between the prankster younger brother and the older sister who could deal out punishment to him despite his size.
エヴァ姉さん、そのくらいにしてあげてください。同じ分、後で反対の耳を私が引っ張って伸ばしておきますので。
あら、ごめんなさいね。キリエさんの引っ張る分も残しておかなくっちゃ。ルドルフ、後でたっぷりキリエさんにお仕置きしてもらいなさいね。
たく、姉貴こそ弟いじめもいいとこだぜ。秀吉兄さんもこんな姉貴を拾ってくれて本当にありがとうございます。兄さんの寛大さがなかったら今でもまだ売れ残ってますよ。弟として申し訳ないです。
誰が売れ残るって？
After taking 2, 3 steps back, Aunt Ava unleashed one of her beautiful high reverse roundhouse kicks, which stopped just a centimeter away from the tip of Dad's nose. After starting out with Tai Chi for her figure, Aunt Ava then developed an interest in the Chinese martial arts. After that, she went through karate, taekwondo, capoeira, never heard of that before, capoeira, and what is it she's learning now again? Well, anyway, they say a woman's weapons are in her lower body, and that's literally true for Eva.
ルドルフ側頭部直撃だと一発で混沌するわよ。この間演舞でミスって相方泡吹いちゃったんだからね。
いやいや、足癖の悪い姉貴で本当に申し訳ないです。
Dad, completely unfazed, shrugged and smiled ironically at Uncle Hideyoshi.
わしには兄弟がおらん。だからエヴァとルドルフ君のじゃれ合いを見とると胸がポカポカしてくるんや。兄弟や家族はほんまにええもんやな。
This does remind me of my family. I have a very big Scottish family, and I mean, without the roundhouse kicking and stuff like that, it reminds me a lot of when we get together with family. It's just, some fun shit talking each other and taking the piss out of each other, but it's all in good fun, and I wish I could see them. It makes me miss my family. I love having a big family that gets along.
あら、ジョージ君に弟を作ってあげるという話はないんですか？
Although the way that this is going to be going later on, I don't think they're going to be getting along for long if there's this whole thing about this, a patriarch dying, and maybe a case of inheritance, and potentially, like, if there's a murderer, who the murderer is, but is fighting over money. I'm assuming that's where this is going.
もうジョージ君も立派な大人になって手も離れたでしょうから、次の子がいてもいいでしょうに。
おいおいキリエ、生まれてくる子の苦労も考えてやれよ。よくこの性悪姉貴から生まれて、ジョージ君はあんなにもまっすぐ育ってくれたもんさ。本当にジョージ君は偉いな。うちのボンクラに今度爪の赤を分けてやってくれよ。
そんなことないわよ。エヴァ姉さんの教育が間違ってなかったから、ジョージ君はあんなに素直ないい子になったんだから。ですよね、姉さん。
あらあら、そんな。どうかしら。うちのジョージもまだまだ頼りなくって。そうそう。それよりお宅のエンジェちゃんはどんな具合なの？吐いちゃったって聞いたけど。
そうやそうや。久しぶりに顔が見れると思って期待してたんやで。大丈夫なんか？
いつも季節の変わり目に風邪をひくんです。どうも弱くって。本当は連れてきたかったんですけど、今回は私の実家に面倒見てもらっています。
それが賢明よ。本家の毒気に当てない方が治りは早いもの。大人の都合より子供の病気の方が大事よ。
わしな、吐く風邪によう効く薬知っとんや。帰ったらすぐ送るさかい、使うてくれや。
ありがとうございます、秀吉兄さん。いつもお世話になりっぱなしで。
And once the conversation suddenly veered off in that direction, we kids didn't have any chance of butting in. For now, I'm just happy Aunt Ava gave Dad his just desserts for tugging on my ear.
まだ天候調査中がなくならないね。
George Aniki pointed at the counter. The checking weather sign was still stuck next to the departure times for the flight we were scheduled to board. According to Aniki, smaller planes are more subject to winds and other effects of the weather, and it's not at all uncommon for flights to be delayed because of that. Wait a sec, we are totally sure it's not going to shake, right? From down here on the ground it just looks cloudy, not windy. Well, I guess it's different up where the planes fly.
ちょっと天気が怪しいものね。
Aunt Ava looked at a TV in the lounge. The weather forecast was being broadcasted, informing us that a typhoon was approaching the Kanto region.
また台風か。
I know Kanto is obviously a real place, but whenever I see or read Kanto region, I just think of Pokemon.
親族会議が毎年10月ってんじゃ。これは宿命だぜ。もうちょい時期を選んでくれりゃいいのによ。
I agree. I've always hoped we could have it sometime around the Oban Festival in mid-August. In that case, why don't you suggest that to Father and Nissan during the conference? Very funny. Why don't you do it yourself? Our brother would never listen to anything I suggested. No way. It doesn't really bother me that much to have it in October. I was just saying you might want to propose it. Since you said you hate typhoons so much. I only said that typhoons always come around this time of year. You're the one who said you wanted to move it to the Oban Festival, right? Well, you said it too last year. Didn't you say it would be easier to fit into your schedule if we had it during the Oban Festival? I never said anything like that.
言ったわよ。私、そういうのは絶対忘れないもん。
いや、言ってねえよ。言ってんのはいつも姉貴だよ。
知ってる？寸止めって高等技術なのよ。
I'm definitely getting the vibes from Higurashi. It's a little bit of a slow start getting, you introduced to the characters, and then I wonder if this, the crazy stuff's going to start happening early on, or if it's going to be a little bit of like a slow burn, like Higurashi is.
チッ、いい年した女がはしたないことばっかしてんじゃねえぜ。
Dad and Aunt Ava's argument looked no different for a couple of brats quarreling.
普段は父親や母親として振る舞っていても、こうして親族会議で元の兄弟に出会うと、子供の頃の自分に戻っちゃうからだろうね。
Oh yes, it's the same thing. Like I said with my family, when my dad gets together with my aunts and uncles, it's the same kind of thing.
と、冷静に分析できるジョージ兄貴の方がずっと大人に見えるぜ。俺は将来あんなクソ親父みたいにはなりたくないに。なるなら兄貴みたいな知的な大人になりたいもんだぜ。
僕かい？僕なんかまだまださ。社会経験が全然足りないし、社交性も度胸も足りない。バトラ君にはそれらのいくつかがすでにあるように思うよ。だからきっと成人したら僕なんかすぐに追い抜いちゃうさ。
George Aniki scratched his head and laughed, as though trying to hide his embarrassment. Of course, he was just being humble. Aniki entered a university and became an apprentice at Uncle Hideyoshi's company at the same time, studying both academics and how to become a business emperor in parallel. Then, right after graduating, he got into Uncle Hideyoshi's company as his father's aide, piling up a lot of real-life experience as he devoted himself zealously to his work. His great dream is to one day stand on his own and build up his own kingdom. Aniki is a real paragon of a man, sparing no effort as he strives towards his goal. It's no exaggeration to say I really respect him. And then there's me. I'm nothing at all like Aniki. I'm living my happy-go-lucky, idle high school life to the max. I've got no dreams for the future. I'd like to just sit back, stay cool, and let the money flow in, but of course, that could never happen. When Aniki was my age, he'd already formed an impressive objective and had started devoting himself towards studying for that goal, so I guess I can't compare at all. My dad just says, sure, you can study at my company if you like cleaning toilets. Damn it, I'm not going to be in the debt of that old bastard. I'll find my own way myself. If only willpower was all it took to become an adult. Should I go on one of those self-searching journeys that are all the rage these days? Well, it's not like I can mooch off my parents for that kind of money. Right then, Uncle Hideyoshi shouted out loudly. He's a really nice person on the whole, but he does have a problem controlling the volume of his voice. When I looked over, I saw he was greeting Aunt Rosa, who had come late.
おおおローザさんやないか。マリアちゃん、久しぶりやの。
久しぶり。マリア、お久しぶりです。でしょ？言ってごらん。
お久しぶりです。
そうや、よく言えたな。ご褒美に飴玉あげような。おっと、あれ、どこにしまったんや。
ローザさん、お久しぶりです。マリアちゃんもお久しぶり。
So obviously this is the more uptight one, the uptight sister.
ご無沙汰してます、キリエ姉さん、秀吉兄さん。あら、バトラ君？大きくなったわね。
Her hair is making me angry. Oh man, those are some blunt layers there.
いやー今日は会うたびに言われてて恥ずかしいっすよ。
おうローザ、遅かったな。飛行機がダイヤ通りだったらギリギリってとこだったぜ。
ごめんなさい、列車の接続がうまくいかなくて。なに？また天候調査中なの？
ぼやかないぼやかない。船で6時間も揺られるくらいなら飛行機でほんの30分の方がずっとマシよ。たとえ1時間余計に待たされたって全然早いんだから。
マリアちゃんも大きくなったで。今身長いくつあるんや？
身長いくつあるんや。
Maria-chan parroted Uncle Hideyoshi's question, looking up at her mother. I guess she doesn't remember her own height. She's probably right in the middle of a growth spurt, so her height must change every month. I don't know if it's Maria or Maria. I thought I heard her mother say Maria, so that's what I'll say until I'm corrected. Give it a few more years and she'll suddenly start looking feminine.
この間の身体測定でいくつって出たっけ？これでも少しずつは伸びてるんですよ。ね
去年よりもずっと成長したと思いますよ。今年で9歳でしたっけ？
9歳。
そうだね、9歳だね。マリアちゃんも元気そうでよかった。よいしょ。もう高い高いをするにはちょっと重くなってきたかな。
うわ、ジョージ兄貴、そりゃレディに失礼だろ。俺がやってやるぜ。高い高。
When I went to lift her up in Aniki's place, Maria stiffened defensively, staring suspiciously at my face. Oh, that's right. The last time I met Maria, it was 6 years ago. She was only 3 years old. She's like, stranger danger, stranger danger. Of course she doesn't remember my face.
マリアちゃん、覚えてる？バトラ君よ。一緒に遊んでもらったの忘れちゃった？
無理だろ。最後にバトラと会ったのは3つの時だぜ。3つの時の記憶なんか残ってねえよ。
She must know everyone's face apart from mine because she meets them every year, but I haven't had contact with the Ushiromiya family for about 6 years now. So it's no surprise this 9-year-old girl doesn't have any memories of me. Even I can only just barely remember her being a 3-year-old crybaby.
マリア、バトラお兄ちゃんよ。ルドルフおじさんの息子さん。わかる？
兄さんの息子さんが、兄さんが息子さん。
That ooh sound was probably her brain going to overload at that complicated explanation. I guess the phrasing of that was a bit confusing. Ni or Oni, the title you'd use to refer to an actual older brother, can also be a friendly honorific for a boy who's only just a little bit older than you. It's just like Ni or Oni, the word for big sister.
マリアちゃん、彼はバトラ君。僕と同じいとこだよ。
庄司お兄ちゃんと同じ？
Okay, girl, it's not that complicated. Oh my gosh.
バトラ？
She's like, that's a stupid name.
いとこ。
そう。よくできたね。
This part of Aniki is what made me really look up to him. For someone who isn't married, he's just great at dealing with kids. I'm sure he'll be an indulgent father in the future.
バトラお兄ちゃん？
Maria looked straight at me with a questioning expression, as though asking whether it was okay to call me that.
おや、俺がバトラだ。よろしくな、マリア。
バトラ！
こらマリア、呼びつけちゃダメでしょ。 バトラお兄ちゃんと呼びなさい。
いいっすよローザおばさん。細かいことは気にしないっすから。まあマリア、俺とお前は名前を呼びつけ合う仲だもんな。
バトラバトラバトラ
And she reminds me.
マリアマリアマリア
It reminds me of Hanyu. Ow, ow, ow.
うう
Is that the thing where it's like every little girl has to have their own little like Nipa and ow, ow, ow? They all have to have their little saying. We horsed around for a while to make up for the 6-year gap in our friendship. She probably still thinks of me as nothing more than a big new friend, but things will probably work out as we get to know each other again. But I'm surprised. She's just the way I remember her being 6 years ago. Seems that people just don't change that much after all. I'm a bit happy she's still the pure, innocent girl I remember. Her name is written, of course, is pronounced Maria. The third character looks like a cross, which is pretty cool. Her feelings don't usually show up on her face, so it can be difficult to know just what she's thinking, but that's just how she looks on the outside. On the inside, she's just a sweet, normal girl. Then there's Maria's mother, Aunt Rosa. She's my dad's younger sister. Rosa is written. Here's a name that's totally not Japanese. Sorry to say it, but her name's almost as ridiculous as Dad's. I've got to respect her for not ending up as screwed up as he is. When I think about it, all the names in my family sound foreign. Just why is grandfather so obsessed with that? Because of him, even we grandchildren have to put up with this weird naming sense. It's even more annoying since grandfather's own name is perfectly normal. Anyway, there's one thing about Aunt Rosa that's a relief compared to the other family members. The old bastard and Aunt Ava have this annoying urge to tease and mock people all the time. But even though she shares their blood, Aunt Rosa isn't like that at all. She has the most common sense among all the siblings. Like Uncle Hideyoshi, she's a kind aunt who will always be on the kid's side. However, possibly because she's more strict as a parent, she's not liberal with handing out spending money like Uncle Hideyoshi. Okay, now we have the entire group of family members who are going to board the plane. At that moment, as though it had waited for us all to arrive, an announcement rang out through the lobby.
お待たせしました。新島行き201便の搭乗をこれより開始いたします。ご搭乗のお客様はカウンター前の白線前に2列でお並びください。
ロザ、搭乗手続きまだだろ。急げ急げ。
いけない。マリア、いらっしゃい。
We had to go through a metal detector before going out on the runway. Our small plane wasn't as massive as an international flight, but it was still a plane. A staff member holding a metal detector checked us all. Once all of us cleared the check, we followed the staff member out onto the runway. Come to think of it, everyone here is the Ushiromiya family. It's like this is a reserved charter flight or something. Our group stopped in front of the entrance to the airplane. Then our guide turned around and spoke, looking down at the passenger list as he did.
それではこれよりご搭乗となります。名簿をお読み上げいたしますので、前方の座席右側から順に右左。それではお読み上げいたします。後宮秀吉様。
わしからか。はい、そうだ。エヴァ、飴玉あるか。さっきから探してるんだが見つからないんや。
後宮エヴァ様。
ハンドバッグの中よ。
This is nice, it gives me another chance to be able to hear the names one more time.
機内に入ったら出すわ。
I've heard that candies are a good way to protect your ears from hurting because of variations in atmospheric pressure when landing or taking off. That's probably what they're talking about.
俺の席窓際だといいな。
大丈夫だよ。窓際席しかないもん。
As Georgianiki said that, there are apparently only 2 lines of seats. So this is what a small plane is like. We are totally sure it's not going to shake, right? That would be me on a plane, small plane too. I would not want to fly one of those little planes. Oh. They do seem like they would be just more shaky, and I was like, no thank you. No thank you.
はい。大丈夫だよ、バトラ君。あんまり揺れないから。
後宮バトラ様。
兄貴、あんまりってどのくらいだよ。船から落ちても泳げるからいいが、飛行機が落ちたらそれでおしまいなんだぜ。もちろん客席にはパラシュートがあるんだろ。ねえの。
後宮ルドルフ様。
ほらバトラー、感動してねえでとっとと奥行け。
聞いて親父、おさってパラシュートがねえんだよ。
後宮桐江様。
ほら仲良くじゃれてないの。進む進む。
言ってよキリエ、押すなって。
Okay, so it's Kyrie.
ボンクラが進まねえんだよ。
後宮マリア様。
進む進む。
後宮ローザ様。
こらマリア、静かにしなさい。
こちらは機長の川端です。本日は新東京航空201便をご利用いただき誠にありがとうございます。新島空港までは約20分のフライトの予定です。上空の気流が乱れているとの報告が入っています。多少の揺れがあるかもしれませんので、離陸後もシートベルトは外さないようにお願いいたします。
兄貴、シートベルト外しちゃいけない揺れってなんだよ。ジャンボ機なら離陸後はシートベルト外せるぜ。
I would totally be him in this situation.
それが外しちゃいけないってどんな揺れだよ。くそー、騙された。何が揺れないだ。パラシュートどこだよ。やっぱり俺は船が良かった。
やっぱ船だよな。船。
落ちる落ちる。
マリア、もういい加減になさい。でも意外ね。バトラ君、てっきり怖いものなしだと思ってたから。
こいつ昔から乗り物がなぜかダメでさ。
Oh my god, I am like associating more and more with Battler because I hate traveling in general. Cars make me motion sick if I'm in a car for too long. Planes freak me out. Boats, as long as it's on a small boat, boats are okay. But yeah, I hate traveling in general. Just that feeling of being like stuck somewhere and you can't leave makes me very anxious. So I get it.
二言目には落ちるだの沈むだの。
With me, it's not so much I'm worried about like getting into accidents or things like that. It's just like I'm afraid of being sick.
情けない男だな、おめえは。
ありゃ、さすがに揺れすぎだろう。小型機乗るのは初めてだったからちょいと答えちまっただけだぜ。
あの大騒ぎでちょいとなの。バトラ君とは海外旅行を一緒に行くと賑やかそうね。おばさんとエジプトとか行かない？14時間も飛行機に乗れるわよ。
And there are so many places I love to travel to, but it's the travel time. Like I'd love to go to Japan. I'd love to go to a lot of places overseas, but I told people, like I told my husband that if I ever have to go on a trip with them, we'd have to separate it. I couldn't take like just a straight direct flight. I'd have to break it up or else I would feel like I'd be running up and down the aisles being like, get me off the plane. Like I could not, I have trouble being in a car for like more than 4 hours in a row before I start to get antsy.
いい提案ね。バトラ君、エヴァ姉さんに少し鍛えてもらいなさいよ。それにしてもおかしい。
And my family pokes fun at me for this, so I totally feel him on this. He's my spirit animal.
こらこら、人間誰しも得て増えてはあるもんや。そない笑うたら悪いで。
父さんも笑うのは悪いよ。ほら、マリアちゃんももう笑っちゃダメ。
もう笑っちゃダメ？
God damn it. Is being scared of planes really such a big deal? These people all seem like, for the most part, pretty, like, likable characters. So I'm just curious about what's going to be happening later with this once it starts kicking off. Like, are they going to turn into, like, not irredeemable people? Because in my mind, there's not a lot of characters that are completely irredeemable, but maybe the dark side of them are going to start showing through. Everyone obviously thinks I'm a big oaf now. We split up and took separate taxis from the airport to the harbor. From there, we would be taking a boat to the island. The islands are right next to each other, so the distance of the trip wasn't that great. By boat, it was a leisurely 30 minutes to the island. When we reached the pier where the boat to the island was anchored, we saw a figure waving at us. And there's another foreign named Jessica.
Oh, 久しぶりだぜ。
やあ、ジェシカちゃん、1年ぶりだね。また伸びたんじゃないかい？
よしてくれよ。毎年言われんのは恥ずかしいぜ。
おいおい、兄貴、嘘だろ？こいつが本当にジェシカなのかよ？
ってことは、ジョージ兄さん、このデカブツ、バトラなのかよ。
We both stared at each other. She definitely didn't look like that in my memories, but I do remember her crazy way of talking.
よー、ジェシカ！なんだよ、お前！嘘だろ？なーに女みたいな格好してんだよ！なんだよ、これ胸かよ！お前にも胸なんかできたのかよ！
Okay, thankfully my cousins have never talked to me this way. They'll be like, oh, like, you know, when we were growing up, we see each other every year. You know, we look a little different, but never, there's never been like this, like, kind of talk. Ew, God, ew. Ugh. Oh, Battler, no longer. I don't like you anymore.
ふざけやがれ。私は花も恥じらう18だぜ。髪だって伸びりゃ出るとこだって出るぜ。てめえに揉ませる胸なんざあるもんかい。バートラこそなんだよ。バカみてえに図体だけでかくなりやがって。知った腕力ついたのか？
ざけんじゃねえ。あれからどれだけ鍛錬積んだか思い知らせてやんぜ。
うぜえぜ。返り討ちだ。
This headstrong girl's name is Jessica. She was born under the same unlucky star as me, sharing the same kind of weird... Jessica is way less of a weird name than Battler. Anyway, that is pronounced Jessica. She's Dad's older brother's daughter. The older brother happens to be the oldest son of the Why do I have such a hard time? I always have to pause before this last name. Ushiromiya family, so for now, it means Jessica's direct family heir. Since Jessica and I are the same age and sometimes had little boy-girl squabbles with each other, we've always been used to fighting and joking around together whenever the relatives gather. Jessica grew more quickly, so she always had me beat in terms of size and physical strength. When we scuffled in a contest of strength, it usually went Jessica's way. So even though I realized I'd grown bigger, part of my mind was still convinced I couldn't beat Jessica.
なんだよ。何マジになってんだよ。いててて。
おいおいおい、全然力入れてねえぜ。ジェシカ、お前貧弱になっただろ。
うるせえぜ。こっちとら女やってんだ。いつまでも腕力で男に勝てるわけねえだろ。
まあ、そりゃそうだよな。俺が腕につけた分の肉を。
Oh my god, stop talking about her boobs. She's your cousin. Ah.
俺の腕とお前の胸ならちょうどいい力比べになりそうじゃねえのか。
だからお前に揉ませる父はねえ。
Like there's being close family and joking with each other, and then I'm like, oh, that's a little weird.
それよりお前こそどうなんだよ。
Oh god, ew.
身長以外にも他のところ、
ち
ゃんと大人になったのか。
バカやめろ。いやん、この野郎お嫁に行けなくなる。変なとこ触んないで。
人様が聞いて誤解すること言うんじゃねえ。
Honestly, I was so surprised at how feminine Jessica had become that I had to joke around like an idiot to hide it. Well, considering what a bossy brat she was 6 years ago, anybody would be surprised. And I guess she's just as surprised. She probably wasn't expecting to lose to me in a test of strength. After losing that easily, she must be shocked at how much I've grown in the past 6 years. 6 years. Once again, I'm being shown just what a huge gap of time that was.
やれやれ乾杯だぜ。こりゃもう私じゃかなわねえな。
そんなことないよ。バトラ君にもきっと弱点はあるよ。ね、マリアちゃん。
落ちる落ちる。
ちょ、バカよせマリア。それは内緒にしような。
落ちる？なんだそりゃ。
へへ、あいにくだがこの弱点はジェシカにはもうさらさないぜ。何しろ悪夢の空路はもう終わっちまったんだからな。あとはのんびりチャボチャボとお船の旅さ。あのオンボロ漁船がこれほど恋しくなるとは思わなかったぜ。
ああ？ジョージ兄さん、こいつ頭どうかしたのか？
すぐにわかるよ。すぐにね。
At the time, I didn't get what Aniki meant by that big smile. Is he gonna get boat sick or something?
これははあ、バトラさんも大きくなりまして。
Who is it this time? It's an old lady with an apron. Oh yeah, that takes me back. I remember now.
バトラ君、覚えてるかい？ほら、お手伝いの熊沢さんだよ。
熊沢のばあちゃんは忘れねえぜ。何しろこの6年ちっとも老けちゃいねえぜ。むしろ若返ったんじゃねえの？
最近はお肌がピチピチしてきちゃって、ほら胸もますますに大きくなっちゃいましたんですよ。
He's like, no, the only chest I'm interested in is my cousin's.
飲んでみます？
Oh god, no.
ご冗談。
This is a very weird family dynamic.
俺が揉みたいのはピチピチした姉ちゃんの胸限定だ
Yeah,
ぜ。
exactly, like my cousin.
私とて若い日にはそれはピチピチしておりましたよ。ほらほら、ぜひどうぞお揉みくださいませ。
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I know he's technically, like, of age, but still, he is a teenager. That is weird.
ひょー、若い姉ちゃんだ、若い姉ちゃん。熊沢のばあちゃんじゃねえよ。
The jokes I'd cracked about Jessica were being turned against me. Come to think of it, Kumasawa has always been the type to tease people.
おいおいよせよ熊沢さん。監獄に半分足突っ込んだ人がはしゃ
Wow,
いじゃいけないぜ。
damn.
若い方とじゃれるのが何よりの若返りの薬ですよ。
熊沢さんが迎えに来るなんて珍しいじゃない。どういう風の吹き回しかしら。用事を頼まれるといつも腰痛になるあなたが。
エヴァ様は相変わらず手厳しゅうございます。急なお買い物がありましたもので、そのついでに皆様のお迎えをしようと思いまして。もっともお迎え待ちの老いぼれのお迎えでは景気も悪いでしょうが。
Aunt Ava spoke sarcastically, but Kumasawa Bachan's years of experience were nothing to sneeze at. She was more than capable of smoothly and coolly deflecting that comment. Well, it feels bad to say it, but old Kumasawa Bachan may be past her prime as a servant. She might act as though she's in good health, but between the headaches and her lumbago, her body is wearing her out. To tell the truth, the very fact she's still working is impressive. How old is she this year again? She must be pushing 80 at least. It's incredible she's still able to act so cheerily.
ますますにお元気なようで。そうだこれ。前に話してたお茶です。ほら、買ってきました。後で飲んでみてください。
Aunt Rosa took a souvenir bag out from her suitcase. To think she remembered a promise she'd apparently made last year and faithfully brought it. This sort of thoughtfulness was just like Aunt Rosa. She wasn't the kind of person who would forget or break a promise. Kumasawa Bachan seemed deeply touched, not only that Aunt Rosa had remembered this year-old promise, but that she would bring a gift to a simple servant like her. This woman is Kumasaya Chiyo-san. She's a senior servant who's been working at the Ushiromiya head family household for many years. As you'd expect from someone her age, manual labor isn't her strong point. but she's a kind of super servant who can handle just about anything, from kitchen work to cleaning and laundry. It seems like her only flaw is a tendency to slack off. I hear she tries to get away from heavy or troublesome work by playing up her chronic diseases. In Kumasawa Bachan's case, it was probably a sign of craftiness rather than laziness, though it probably doesn't impress those paying her salary. Oh well, even if she's pretty flaky when it comes to work, I could never dislike her. I guess that's probably because of her cheerfulness and her constant smile.
いやー、相変わらずお元気そうで何よりでんな。あれから背中の具合はどないでっか？
薬を飲んでもちっとも良くなりませんで、こればかりはお医者様ではどうにもなりません。不治の病っちゅうもんですわ。
それにしてもジェシカちゃんはますます美人になったな。夏日姉さんに似てよかったぜ。
そうですか？私的には全然似てないつもりなんですけど。つうか、親には似たくないです。尊敬してないんで。
こら、そんなこと言っちゃダメよ。それにしても親に似たくないって言ってる人が多いわね、うちの一族は。
あ、それ俺。バカ言え。お前こそ俺に似るんじゃねえ。お前の鼻が似ててムカつくんだよ。
何言ってんのよ。呆れるくらいそっくりよ。あなたもお父様も。
おいおい、そりゃねえだろ。俺のどこが親父に似てるってんだ？
傲慢で偉そうなところとかそっくりよ。あんたと兄さんは特にお父様の血が強いわね。ねえローザ。
ええ、まったく。クラウス兄さんもルドルフ兄さんも信じられないくらいお父様にそっくり。
It's so strange, like Kraus and Rudolph, those are like German names? It's so strange. And then like Rosa, I don't know what Rosa would be. And then yeah, Jessica. Adler is just the weirdest. I've never heard that name before.
おいおい、参ったな。なんで俺だけ女どもに集中放火なんだ？秀吉兄さん、助けてくださいよ。
いやいや、ルドルフ君はいっつも女性にモテてるな。羨ましいで。
相変わらずモテモテでお羨ましいことです。それでは皆様、お船の方へお乗りくださいませ。
Alright, so before we do that, I think there was a thing where I can check the different characters. Ah, whoa, what the hell? That shattering scared the shit out of me. Okay, let's try that again. I don't know what I did there, so let's check here. So, Jessica, Kraus. So we haven't met Kraus yet. Kraus and, Nuts. Oh, I've got a pronunciation for that. Nutshui? I was told to put the emphasis on the na. Notsui's. That's something I'm gonna have to, like, actually hear the name before I say that correctly. In the absence of any irregularities, it is thought that she will eventually inherit the hardship of the Ushiromiya family, or technically, her husband will. However, she seems to have no interest in all of this. She was born with weak bronchi and is sometimes assailed by sudden asthma attacks. Ooh! So it's got their weaknesses there, so if they start dying off, you can be like, alright, what caused this? George. Ava and Hideyoshi's son, an affable young man who liked by everyone in the family. He's currently studying as an assistant for his father's company, and it seems he dreams of making it on his own one day. As the oldest of the four cousins, he acts as their leader and arbitrator. Ushiromiya Hideyoshi, Ava's husband. He took his wife's name upon their marriage and became a member of the Ushiromiya family. He therefore does not possess the spiteful genes passed down through the Ushiromiya family members, and his bright smile is very refreshing at family conferences. He started his business from scratch and now works as the president of a medium-sized restaurant chain. This chain seems to be growing and performing extremely well. Ava, Kinzo's second child. She is hostile towards her brother Kraus and opposes him whenever she can. From issues dealing with the family fortune to the question of who will succeed the family headship. Normally, she would have lost her place in the Ushiromiya family register upon her marriage, but she managed to forcibly overcome this by having her husband take her family name. Rudolph, Kinzo's third child, along with his sister Ava, he intends to make his voice heard during the family conference to prevent their older sibling, Kraus, from keeping all the father's wealth for himself. His former wife, Asumu, passed away 6 years ago, and he married his current wife, Kiri, shortly after that. Battler, the son of Rudolph and his first wife, Asumu. When his father married a second wife shortly after Asumu's death, Battler rebelled and went to live with his grandparents on his mother's side. However, both these grandparents passed away, and he's now returned to the Ushiromiya family after 6 years. Okay, so that explains why he was gone for so long. This family conference is a chance for him to renew his friendship with his cousins after a 6-year gap. Maria, Rosa's daughter, her father's identity is unknown. She can't shake off the habit of speaking like a young child, which often earns her a scolding. She has no interest in studying or making friends, but is very interested in things concerning the occult and black magic. Thanks to her excellent powers and memorization, she knows all kinds of obscure trivia. Rosa, Kinzo's fourth child. She is by far the youngest of the 4 siblings. It seems this gives her a weaker position at the family conference. She manages a design company, but has yet to start taking it seriously, and its financial situation is far from favorable. And then there is servant Kumasawa. The elderly woman is a part-timer who, though she has quit her job several times along the way, has served the family for a great many years in total. She is crafty and more than competent when it comes to performing her duties, but because of her chattiness and love of rumors, she is not highly regarded as a servant. Whew, alright, well, that was a lot there, and there's this thing about this brother Kraus who has not been seen yet, the father of Jessica, and obviously all of them have some sort of... don't seem to be big fans of Kraus, because he seems to be kind of like the stronghold who wants to take control of everything.
So I'm
assuming we're going to meet Kraus later. There's a couple of blank spots there of characters we haven't met yet.
一緒にお船に乗るみんなも一緒に乗る
おや、もう今度は怖くないぜ。波で揺れるのは慣れてるしな。オンボロ漁船の場合、揺れて怖いってよりエンジンがぶっ壊れて漂流するんじゃねえかって方が怖いぜ。
そうだ、バトラ君、言うのを忘れてた。あの漁船はだいぶ老朽化してたんで数年前に引退したんだよ。今は他の船が島まで運んでくれるんだ。
ああ、そっか。バトラは新しい船が初めてなんだな。快適だぜ。すっげえ速いんだ。何しろとんでもないスピードが出るんだからさ。
ほう。ってことは船旅の時間がさらに短縮されたわけか。そりゃ素晴らしい。何しろ飛行機よりマシとはいえ沈没の危険にさらされる時間が少しでも短くなるってんだから、こりゃ極めて素晴らしいぜ。
バトラはまた落ちる
そりゃ飛行機の時だけさ。もう大丈夫だぜ。
何しろ船長自慢の改造高速艇らしいぜ。だいぶいじってるらしく、プロペラは高性能のが4機もついてて、最高速度は40ノットを超えるとかなんとか自慢してたな。いつも自慢されるんで覚えちまったぜ。
僕も毎年聞かされるんで覚えちゃったよ。船長は昔外国の漁船と速度比べをして負けて以来、スピード改造に取りつかれちゃったんだってさ。その時の相手は漁船なのに30ノット以上も出せたんだってね。
その雪辱の念が結実して、スカッと爽快な超高速改造艇の誕生となったわけさ。バトラもきっと気に入るぜ。
Super high-speed modded boat? My first thought was this would be much better than some beat-up old boat that might sink at any moment. But for some reason I got this feeling of foreboding. Probably just overthinking it.
Oi, バトラー。島までは泳いで行った方がいいんじゃねえか。
バトラ君、柵からあんまり身を
Oh
乗り出
yeah,
しちゃダメ
he's
だよ。
getting seasick.
落ちちゃうから。
落ちる
チェックしろー。さっきからみんながニヤニヤ笑
Or he's just gripping on for, is he getting seasick or is he just holding on for dear life? So this is the super high-speed boat that Captain started modding. Oh yes, that piece of junk fishing boat from 6 years ago doesn't hold a handle to this guy.
ジェシカちゃんもマリアちゃんもいじめちゃ悪いって。バトラ君も怖いなら甲板に出なきゃいいのに。船内ならもう少し怖くないと思うけどな。
そいつはサンキューだぜ兄貴。海難事故の犠牲者はいつも船内なんだ。生存者は大抵事故時は甲板なんだぜ。だから俺はここにいる。でも揺れる落ちるふふふ
揺れる落ちる
マリアよしなさいったら。でもバトラ君本当に苦手なのね。船長さんに速度を落とすように言ってきてあげるわ。
ローザおばさんありがとう。海の上でも安全運転徐行運転指差し確認。
Yeah, he's definitely the opposite of Akaza. Oh, he's such a baby. I love it.
ダメよローザ。青年には試練も必要なんだから。ねえバトラ君、これくらいへっちゃらで克服できちゃうわよね。じゃないとおばさんとエジプトに行けないわよ。
エヴァおばさんの意地悪。ダメ落ちる。ライフジャケットパラシュート。
Okay, wow. What I appreciate about his character is like he's this big, you know, like strong looking guy, but he's not afraid to show that he's scared.
いや、ひっくり返して考えるんだ。敵の狙いは何だ。俺をこうして怖がらせることか。そいつが狙いなら甘いぜ。ビビってなんかやるのか。でもダメ落ちる。
So after I made a huge fool of myself for a while, Aunt Rosa had a talk with the boat captain, and he slowed down to a more manageable speed for me.
これくらいならさっきのは生きた心地がしなかったぜ。
Apparently, the max speed I can tolerate is extremely slow, but that just now was completely insane. The whole boat was shaking, sliding and leaping on the ocean's surface. It felt like I was riding on the back of a flying fish. Jessica was still guffawing at me as I leaned against the railing, tired and disheartened.
さっきは力比べで負けたけどよ、もっと重要な部分で負けてなかったことが分かって私は嬉しいぜ。いやしかし
くっそー。好きなだけ笑えよ。いつか弱点を見つけ返しててめえの胸をもみ潰してやるぜ。
見つけられたら考えてやるぜ。
ほう、バトラヘロヘロ。
ああ、バトラヘロヘロだ。海も空もごめんだぜ。俺は陸の上で死にたいさ。
Mario's patting my back, so I patted her head in return. Her expression was blank as usual, but I realized she wanted to console me.
バトラ君、船長が罪滅ぼしにってドリンクをサービスしてくれたよ。飲んで一服しないかい？落ち着くよ。
Georgianiki and Kumasawa Bachan brought us ice-cold cans of soft drinks covered with beads of water. Judging from Kumasawa's big grin, our parents inside the boat were probably all rolling around laughing at my moment of pure terror. Damn it, I'm so embarrassed I can't bear to face any of them. If I didn't change the subject somehow, I had the feeling I'd be the butt of everyone's jokes for the whole trip, so I tried to think of something harmless to talk about.
ああ、ジェシカ、クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんは元気なのかよ。
親父とおふくろ？残念ながら元気だぜ。二言目には勉強しろ勉強しろってうるせえけどよ。秀吉おじさんとかルドルフおじさんとかそういうこと言わなそうだから羨ましいぜ。
とんでもない。僕も受験を控えてた頃はいっつも受験受験って言われてたよ。うるさくも思ったけど今は感謝してるよ。
はあ、やっぱりジョージ兄貴は人間ができてるな。ちなみにうちは絶賛放任中だからな。なんにも言われないぜ。まあ言われたって聞かねえけどな。
ほう。バトラさんはまだご実家には戻られておられないのですか？
うん。まあちょくちょく戻るようには。まだ服とかだいぶ前の家に残してるんで。
おお、バトラ、お家が2つある？
まあな。
どうしてお家が2つ？
Only Amiri, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced this naive question. However, the others just shot nervous glances at me, choosing not to respond, even though they knew the answer.
マリア！ほら、船着き場が見えてきたぜ。ほら、あれ、見えるか？
船着き場見えた！船着き場見えた！
Apparently, Jessica was trying to be nice by changing the subject. Oh well. I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated like some kind of weird taboo. I don't mind it that much myself anymore. I may be a member of the Ushiramiya family, but the truth is that for the last 6 years, I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've even been using her family name. When those grandparents passed away one after the other, I basically had no choice but to go back and live with the old bastard. Don't get me wrong, I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at fault here is my dad. I don't really blame Kiryu-san. Being able to hold that old bastard's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. Still, the way that old bastard betrayed my mom... Well, unfortunately, I still haven't fully gotten over that.
もうすぐ着くね。
Georgianiki cleared his throat, trying to change the subject.
失礼しました。年寄りが余計なことを言ってしまったようで。お気に障りましたら。
気にもしてないし、触ってもないぜ。気にすんなよ、熊沢のばあちゃん。
Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn, but I was more concerned about being worried over for something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island.
バトラ、島が見えた！島が見えた！あれ！
She's gonna get on my nerves a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. She's not as, it's not like Hanyu or Rika or Sadako, she's kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But it's still early on, so I shouldn't judge too much.
6年ぶりでも、記憶と寸分変わらない島影だぜ。
The small island silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. This island's name is Rokkenjima. It's a small island about 10 kilometers around, located in the Izu archipelago. Since they call this archipelago the Izu 7, lots of people think there are only 7 islands, but that's not true. There's actually several more, and Rokkenjima is one of the minor islands that don't get counted. even if that weren't the case, I doubt you'd find many people who knew about the island. Only people connected to the Ushiromiya family ever go there. In other words, outsiders and tourists never have any reason to care about it. So you'll never find this island's name in a travel brochure. After all of Rokkenjima is an estate possessed by the Ushiromiya head family. Only the Ushiromiya family lives there, and only people connected to the Ushiromiya family come and go to and from there. There's nothing there except a harbor and a mansion. The vast majority of the island is still just uncultivated forest. Such a waste when it could be made into a nice golf course or something. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You probably guessed by now, but to put it simply, well, the Ushiromiya family is just rolling in dough. The head family apparently possess a vast fortune, and Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life at my grandparents' home these 6 years, so I'd completely forgotten. But the old bastard's house really is elegant, and everything about it is turned to match the snobbish taste of the annoyingly rich. Come to think of it, I guess that makes George and Iki, Jessica, Maria, and me wealthy, high-class gentlemen and ladies. Needless to say, none of us think of ourselves that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and George and Iki, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica's always complaining she'd rather move to the city than be rich, and Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. Does that attitude really make us any less snobbish? From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we really have been blessed with a lot. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I won't. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born to a rich family. Well, the fact that he's thinking about people who aren't in the same privileged situation he is, that already shows a lot of self-reflection and looking outside yourself, so that's admirable. I don't think it's really something to be envied. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your merits. As I ponder these sentimental thoughts, Maria starts shouting and leaning over the railing.
Nay.
どうしたんだよ、マリア。何か落としちゃったのか？
Maria kept yelling, "Gone, gone." At first it sounded as though she had dropped something, but while she shouted, she also pointed out over the ocean.
どうしたの？何がないんだい？僕も探してあげるよ。何？
If she dropped something, she would probably have looked down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume by that gesture she had spotted something, but she just kept saying something wasn't there. Strange. However, since my last memories of this place came from 6 years ago, I was able to spot it before Nikki, who comes here every year. Oh, is stuff already getting weird?
確かさ、この辺の小さい岩の上に鳥居みたいなのがなかったっけ？そうだ、確かにあったぜ。島に近づいてくると最初に迎えてくれる目印みたいなもんだったからよく覚えてるぜ。
へえ、バトラすごいじゃねえか。6年ぶりなのによく覚えてるもんだぜ。
あったね。僕も思い出したよ。鎮守の社と鳥居みたいなものが岩の上にポツンと立ててあったよ。そういえばないね。去年は確かにあったと思う。
大方、波か何かでさらわれちまったんだろう。小さい岩だったしな。だいぶ風化で脆くなってたんだろうさ。
私もそうだと思ってるんだけどよ。亡くなっちゃったのはこの夏のことなんだよ。なんでもよ。
ある晩に大きな稲妻が落ちてお社を砕いてしまったんだとか、鎮守様に落雷があるなど、これは不吉の兆しに違いないと。くわばらくわばら。
Kumasawa-san smiled impishly as if teasing us, rubbing her hands together while intonating. Or intoning? A Japanese phrase meant to ward off lightning. However, Maria apparently took this seriously. Oh yeah, because she's into like dark arts and stuff, and black magic, and stared fixedly over the ocean to where the crag housing the shrine god was supposed to be.
不吉の兆し。
よせよ熊沢さん。マリアはそういう冗談の通じない年頃なんだからさ。
大丈夫だよマリアちゃん。偶然だよ。何も怖いことなんか起きないよ。
George Niki put a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp-eyed expression didn't waver.
不吉。
If there's anything I know about, like, the, you know, from Higurashi is don't doubt small children and their perceptions of things.
不吉。
Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently, repeating a single word over and over is a habit that Maria's had for a long time. However, since the word she was saying was literally an ill omen, it was a bit creepy.
おいおいマリア、そんなに何度も繰り返してたら本当に不吉がやってきちまうぜ。
I tapped Maria's other shoulder. Maria whipped her head around, stared into my face, and spoke unblinkingly.
不吉。来る。
来るってどこからさ。
I answered lightheartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. At that moment, Maria held up a finger, raised her arm high, and pointed up to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw the sky was still just as cloudy, but it had grown a great deal more leaden than it had been this morning. That's right, they were saying a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if the storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to school on Monday. Well, I guess it would make for a pretty good excuse to be absent. She apparently sensed some kind of misfortune in the cloudy sky. She's been muttering that non-stop for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about the age many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have a psychic potential and stuff. For all we know, this might be due to her childish, sensitive nature.
大丈夫だよマリアちゃん。天気は今夜くらいには崩れるかもしれないけど、明日には良くなって綺麗な青空になってるよ。
So they're gonna be stuck. A typhoon's gonna keep them on this island, I assume, and that's what's gonna happen, and then maybe people are gonna start dying off, and it's all isolated and stuff.
おー、綺麗な青空。
そう、明日になれば綺麗な青空になるよ。止まない雨はないし、晴れない雲だってない。
止まない雨、晴れない雲。
確かに台風が近づいてるけどよ、すぐに過ぎちまうって。大丈夫さマリア。
Maria started yelling, ooh, ooh. It looked as though she was having a tantrum because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world is Maria trying so desperately to warn us about? Unable to understand her, we couldn't help but feel a vague sense of misfortune. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but that it weakens as you age. That might mean that Maria, the youngest one of us all, still possessed some kind of sense the rest of us had lost. I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasawa-san quietly opened her mouth.
なんでもロッケン島はその昔。
熊沢さん、その話はなしにしようぜ。
Just as Kumasawa-san was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. Jessica's tone was extremely firm for her. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity, but judging by the look on Jessica's face, whatever Kumasawa-bachan was likely to say would probably make Maria even more uneasy. If I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good it wouldn't be anything bright and cheery.
それは申し訳ございませんね。ここの風は年寄りには応えますんで、ちょっと失礼させていただきます。
Something about this woman. I'm gonna keep an eye on her. Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. When Kumasawa-san finally realized she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. After she left, Uncle Hideyoshi showed up in her place. Since he'd arrived mid-conversation, he completely failed to notice the complicated atmosphere that hung above the scene, so he refreshingly and unwittingly swept that atmosphere aside. So in the end, it was his lack of tact that brightened the mood.
もう到着だそうやないか。おお、もうちょいやの。今日はのんびりスピードだから時間がかかってもうたわ。誰のせいやねん。
うわ、秀吉おじさんもう勘弁してくださいよ。
もっと言ってやってください。たく、バトラのせいで時間かかりすぎだぜ。
Maria probably thought everyone was refusing to listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful expression. As she did, George and Nikki crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly.
マリアちゃん、何も怖くないよ。だって、僕たちが一緒だもの。一緒だと何も怖くないんだよ。言ってごらん。
一緒だと何も怖くない。
Although it seems like it's the fact that everybody is going to be together, stuck in place, that might be the issue.
うん、一緒だと何も怖くない。
そうさ、ジョージの兄貴の言う通りだぜ。俺たちが一緒にいると、いつだって何だって絶対に怖くねえんだ。な、ジェシカ。
ああ、間違いないぜ。ジョージ兄さんの言うことはいつも本当だよ、マリア。
ジョージお兄ちゃんはいつも本当。
うん、僕は嘘をつかないよ。だから信じて。みんなと一緒にいれば何も怖くないんだよ。
The fact is being repeated over and over. I'm like, what is this predicting or what is this foreshadowing?
ジョージお兄ちゃんは嘘をつかない。信じる。みんなと一緒にいれば怖くない。怖くない。
Maria jumped into George Aniki's arms and hugged him tightly. After Aniki patted her head, she jumped away again. Her facial expression had undergone a 180-degree change, turning back to normal. She was once again the ordinary Maria.
みんなと一緒だからもう怖くない。
ああ、そうだぜ。もう平気みたいだな。マリアは強いな。偉いぜ。
マリア偉い。
なんや、どうしたんや。マリアちゃん、船酔いだったんか。
まあそんなとこです。もうじき着きますね。
The harbor was already drawing near. Alright everybody, so we'll do it for part 1 of my Umineko Let's Play. Overall, I'm liking it so far. A slow start, like Higurashi. It's to be expected. You have to introduce the characters and kind of get a feel for their relationships with each other. And so far, they all seem like likable enough characters, but we know that there's going to be some murder later on, and there's the introduction of this brother, this big brother, the kind of the head of the family that everyone seems to be a little wary of, that we have yet to meet. So I guess we'll meet him in the next episode and hopefully get into what's going on with this father and the inheritance and then the murders and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see where the story's going to go from here. And like I said, hopefully next week I will have Umineko Project working. We'll just have to wait and see. But thank you guys so much for watching part 1 and stay tuned for the next one. Until next time, bye guys. Special shoutouts to my top tier patrons: Nana, Sparky, iCognito, Matt Goldsmith, Harry Gazif, and Asborn Kennedy.